Opposition.
After 9 years, this Prime Minister, this NDP Liberal Prime Minister, is not worth the cost of mortgages, 76% of which will become more expensive over the next 3 years, according to the federal banking regulator, OSFI. This after the Prime Minister said rates would stay low for long. We know that his massive government deficits have driven rates up 2 percentage points higher than they otherwise would be, according to Scotiabank. So will he accept my common sense dollar-for-dollar plan to cap spending and cut waste to bring down interest rates so Canadians keep their homes?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, we know the truth. The Conservatives don't actually care about Canadians who are struggling to pay their mortgages. And we know that because when we put forward something very concrete to support those Canadians, the strengthened Canadian Mortgage Charter, they refused to support it. When we put forward a plan to help first-time home buyers with 30-year mortgage amortizations, the Conservatives voted against it. The fact is, the only thing these Conservatives know how to do is cut, 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 and the only Canadians they care about are themselves.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, we have voted against everything this Prime Minister has done to balloon the cost of living of Canadians, to increase food bank use by 50% over 3 years, to send 1/4 of all young people to the food bank in 3 months alone, 1/4 of all Canadians skipping meals because they cannot afford a home, a 38% increase in homelessness since 2019. 50 new homeless encampments in Toronto, now a total of 256 of them in the biggest city in the country. Why is it that the more they spend, the more Canadians hurt?
Hear, hear, hear. The Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, we will take no lessons from the Conservatives when it comes to supporting the most vulnerable Canadians. The fact is, when we formed government and when they left government, the poverty rate in Canada was 14.5%. It is now 9.9%. The Canada Child Benefit has lifted hundreds of thousands of children out of poverty. The GIS helps 900,000 seniors. The only thing they know how to do is cut, cut, cut. Tory times are hard times, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
We know how to cut taxes, Mr. Speaker, and that is why we reduced poverty and had affordable homes 9 years ago when common sense Conservatives were in government. Since that time, housing costs have doubled, mortgage payments have doubled, rent has doubled. The number of homeless encampments in Canada is up by hundreds of percent. We now have 1 in 4 Canadians skipping meals because they can't afford the cost of food. Will the government finally stop the policies that make Canadians poor, get off the backs of the working people, and let Canadians keep their homes?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, we know what the Conservatives really believe and what they really do. When this leader was in government, how many homes did he actually get built? 6, Mr. Speaker. Just 6 homes. We know what Conservatives do to programs that support the most vulnerable. Cut, cut, cut. We have put forward a national school food program, a dental care program, national early learning and child care. They want to cut those programs. We won't let them, Mr. Speaker.
Then I have the Honourable Member. The Honourable Member from Calgary, Forest Lawn.
After 9 years of this Liberal NDP Prime Minister, hunger and homelessness are up as 1 in 4 Canadians are food insecure. It's because this carbon tax scam leaves Canadians with less money in their pockets, food in their bellies, and fuel in their cars. This Prime Minister and this carbon tax scam are not worth the cost. Conservatives are calling for all federal fuel taxes to be axed this summer so Canadian families can save an average of $670. Will this road-raging finance minister stop the road trip wrecking and implement this common sense Conservative ask? Yes or no?
The Honourable Minister of Finance and Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, The only thing the Conservatives believe in is austerity. And the only thing they know how to do is cut, cut, cut. That's why it is no surprise that they would like to cut the carbon rebates that are putting more money back in the pockets of 8 out of 10 Canadians. It is no surprise that they want to cut a national school food program. It's no surprise they want to cut our national early learning and childcare plan. Mr. Speaker, they have no real plan, but they're letting the country burn.
The honourable member from Calgary, Forest Lawn.
No doubt we will cut the carbon tax scam that will leave more money in Canadians' pockets. And she wants to talk about a food program. That food program has no food in it. The only thing these guys have been feeding over the last 9 years is the already obese government. What common sense Conservative governments are going to do is we're going to axe a tax for good. Why don't they just call a carbon tax election so we can show them how it's done anyways?
The Honourable Minister for Natural Resources and Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is incredibly disappointing to see the misleading information that the honourable member actually puts forward. It is very clear. 300 economists, the parliamentary budget officer, have said 8 out of 10 Canadian families get more money back. Our approach is one that actually addresses the existential threat of climate change, does so in a manner that is actually affordable for Canadians. And to be honest with you, his constituents should be asking him, I'm sure they are, why he campaigned on putting in place a price for pollution in the last election, and now is actually taking such a hypocritical position.
The honourable member from Haliburton, Kawartha Lakes, Brock.
Thank you, Speaker. I'll be sure and tell the people in my community that are suffering under this NDP Liberal government that a bunch of well-to-do economists and some tenured professors saying that life's never been so good. I'll make sure I tell them that. Speaker, common sense Conservatives have put forward this plan. We're asking the government to axe all federal taxes on gasoline from today until Labor Day, meaning that the average Ontarian could save about $600 this summer. When will the Prime Minister adopt our common sense plan, axe the carbon tax this summer so families can take their kids on vacation?
The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources and Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I'm glad that folks in this House are finally being honest. He's actually saying, Mr. Speaker, just ignore the facts. Ignore the facts. Make it all up. At the end of the day, 8 out of 10 families get more money back. Every reputable authority actually says that. It's only the Conservatives who campaigned on the basis of putting in a price on pollution, who've now changed their mind, have no plan for climate except to let the planet burn, would take a position like that.
The honourable member from Haliburton, Kawartha Lakes, Brock.
Speaker, the facts are food bank usage is at the highest level it's ever been, and that's because of policies by this NDP Liberal government. In fact, this summer, my community that relies on tourism is being punished because the Liberals refuse to reduce their carbon tax. Canadians can actually save money. In Ontario, approximately $600 from today until Labor Day could be saved if the Liberals reduce the tax on all gasoline. Now, Speaker, when will Liberals accept this and give Ontarians a break who just want a vacation this summer?
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Minister of Health.
Well, Mr. Speaker, in the pandemic, the Conservatives wouldn't have been there for small businesses and people that were suffering. No. Their response to the challenges that are around the globe is to say to people who are suffering, let's pretend those issues aren't happening in our country, and we can help you out by taking away your rebate check. We can help you out by taking away dental care from a senior, taking away a diabetic patient's medication. Mr. Speaker, you don't help vulnerable people in a time of global turmoil by cutting their essential supports. You help them by standing up and standing behind them, and that's what our government does every day.